Well, we've seen that there's a lot going on, and a key thing is that the notion of belief, we use the term, we use the concept. What does it really mean? Well, it's a bit messy, there to say the least. So you can, I hope, have an appreciation as to why psychologists, philosophers, historians, deal a lot with trying to figure out just what people believed, and philosophers, especially, and psychologists to a certain degree, really worry about the semantics, the meaning of the term belief. So just to just offer a few final reflections on this, we've seen that the claim to believe X, you never act on it. We could ask the question, do you really believe it? And remember, when we ask these kinds of questions and when we answer them, we're usually running on some kind of definition, right? You really believe it if you never act on it? I don't think you do. And that kind of question, inference, conclusion runs on a dispositional view. But certainly, we saw also that just because you act on X, you shouldn't infer that a person believes it, right? The Santa Claus example, right? And again, even the activist, I could be out there all the time, and I'm just out in the march for the exercise, right? And maybe even if I get passionate about it and I'm like really into it, maybe it's just a sort of a cathartic thing to do. I just like yelling. So it's very difficult to interpret human behavior, human action, and the dispositional theory just makes things even more complicated. But that doesn't mean it's wrong; just means it's more complicated, and well, life is pretty complicated. So how about this? The claim you believe in human equality, and let's say you're, oh yeah, I believe that. That's for sure. And it might be revealed to you by others in your behavior. Psychologists often do this to people in tests and things like that. Is, well, no, you claim you believe in inequality, but it turns out, in your behavior, you treat different groups quite differently. You show systematic bias towards certain group. You sure you're really, do you really believe in equality? Do you have and if you look into the past, people have different understandings of equality. So even the notion of what human equality, we might want to disagree, or we might want to agree, or at least find some kind of common ground as to what that even is going to mean, because those definitions have changed. So this gets just more complicated the more you dig into it. And also, on this one, if you treat different groups differently, well, that and you claim that you don't want to do that, right? You're behaving in a way that you state you do not want to behave. Do you have hidden beliefs? Like can beliefs be hidden? Are we back in that Freudian model of hidden desires or whatever? And you actually think that you think one way, but really your whole sort of mental apparatus, that iceberg thing, leans in a different direction, and you're not even really aware of it. But are you responsible? How did ethics play into this now? Are you ethically responsible for your hidden beliefs? Are you responsible for what you don't even know, right? Because remember, you can have a belief without knowledge. Can you have a belief without knowing that you have that belief? Right? Are there unconscious beliefs and desires? This is an old problem. And again, is belief something that you can control? Like if you're raised in a certain way and you grow up believing things, can you really change that? How much can you change that? Maybe you can change your behavior. Can you really change your beliefs? Well, if beliefs are behavior, then you'd say yes. And so a lot of these questions are going to turn on the fundamental definitions that you use.